Let's check John in Atlanta, Georgia, listening on Sirius XM 131. Hi, John.
Hey, John. Hey, Hank. God bless you.
Thank you.
I want to say, you're welcome. I want to say that I know some of what you're going through in pursuing the truth and trusting God is probably, as you highlighted a few minutes ago, creating some difficulty. But I really respect and commend you for kind of remaining true to your pursuit of the truth.
Thank you.
Asking this question in full disclosure as a Catholic who periodically listens to your show, I've heard you say before that in essentials, unity, in non-essentials, liberty, and I think in all things charity, if I have that right. So I'm curious if you view the doctrine of the real presence as an essential. And I'm not asking that as trying to cause trouble. I'm just curious, with the journey you've gone through, how you regard that doctrine.
Well, I would not list that as one of the essentials of the historic Christian faith, because certainly if you look at church history, the Catholics, the Protestants, and the Orthodox have different views. Now, the Catholic and the Orthodox view are very, very similar. So what you can say is for the first 1,500 years of church history, all of church history uniformly pointed to a belief in the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist, which is to say that even before we were divided between East and West, there was a unity there. And even after the great schism that took place in the Western Church 500 years later, Luther still believed in the real presence of Christ. And I have mentioned this on the Bible Answer Man broadcast several times. I suppose most Christians are familiar with the great colloquy that took place in 1529 in the Marsburg Castle in Germany. Essentially a debate between Luther and Zwingli. Zwingli accused Luther of bread worship. And he said, how in the world can you possibly believe in the real presence of Jesus Christ in the Eucharist? And Luther responded by saying, look, if you can explain to me how Christ can be one person with two natures, I'll explain to you how Christ can really be present in the Eucharist. And by the way, if Luther could have disagreed with what he called the Papists on any point, this would have been the point he wanted to disagree with them on. He made that clear. So here's kind of the point of all of that. There's a difference between East and West in how you describe it. Luther would say that Christ is present in, with, and under the elements. Roman Catholics would say there's a transubstantiation that takes place. The Orthodox Church has never tried to explain this. And Luther was actually in that tradition. He considered this, as I've said before on the broadcast, he considered this a great mystery. And so we leave this as Orthodox people in the realm of mystery. The Western Church, again, has explanations for it. And while Luther may have won the war or the battle of words with Zwingli, debatable, but I think he most certainly did, Zwingli probably won the war because from that time on, there has been a fissuring in terms of significance of the Lord's table or communion or Mass or the Eucharist, whatever moniker you'd like to use. There's been a fissuring such that I was speaking in one church, and before I spoke, the pastor was introducing me. He said, by the way, if anybody wants communion, just go to the back. There's a jug there, and you can have some Kool-Aid and a couple of crackers on your way out. You have other people like Joseph Prince who's saying, take communion at home as many times as you want to take communion. It's really actually for your healing, and so just keep taking communion at home in isolation. The Orthodox Church, the Catholic Church, healthy, well-balanced churches know nothing about rugged individualism. You take communion in community. And so the ideas that have been prevalent in many, many circles in the modern church have made me very wary of finding a safe spot, particularly for my kids,